Hi everyone, Snowy here. So today I thought it'd be helpful and interesting to demonstrate in a more practical way how big and nebulous themes of astrology can be understood on a practical level in our lives, using myself as an example this time. And so I'm going to take on the happenings of the solar eclipse and the happenings of the lunar eclipse, using some things that transpired for me as an example. So the shadow of the solar eclipse is from September 25th to November 25th, with the most potent effects being felt around October 25th, which is the actual date of the eclipse. Remember, the themes of them, as I said on my Instagram post, are renegotiation, moving past false ideals, or too burdensome commitments. This eclipse overlaps the lunar eclipse, so simultaneously as we're given opportunities for growth, these revelations are happening too, and themes of potentially letting things go. So in this case, the Scorpio-Taurus axis was activated in this eclipse, with Aquarius playing a major role as well, Saturn being there. There is also a theme of, especially for the solar eclipse, the in conjunction felt by Jupiter, which was just at the beginning of Aries when it took place. For me, this definitely manifested in my career, my relationships, and with my money. And I know that that sounds like every single area of my life, but it's not when we get into the specifics of it. So around the time of the solar eclipse, I not only had a shift when it came to the constraints on my income, but I also opened up 2 and potentially 3 different sources of income. I also was given a really amazing creative opportunity and have had more of my hobbyistic endeavors contributing directly to public recognition. This is actually making a tight conjunction, the solar eclipse, with my midheaven, which is in Scorpio. So that would explain how I also started to finally gain a following on my Instagram and a little bit on my YouTube. And I basically just put into motion things to change my brand, to change how I'm seen in the world, and that could bring fame behind it. Just a few bullet points. At the middle and end of September, I had a very big renegotiating of things having to do with my support systems. At the very end of September were when the constraints really began on my monetary situation, and also when I had to renegotiate which things matter more to me and take a good hard look at my income instead of being overly saving and things like that. I also had different ups and downs and really understood exactly what I was looking for and exactly what I needed to change when it came to everything. So mental health services that are sort of offered and sponsored in my line of work. And I also got a pet. So as we can see with those examples, the effect of the 11th house and all of those themes therein, my midheaven is also in that house. For me, those things are very clearly at play in this eclipse. And then we also see the themes of Taurus in the opposing 5th house about your hobbyistic endeavors, how you present yourself to the world, your learning, your education, and also just your... In another context, your different forms of creating something which can also apply to work or things that can prove lucrative. The Jupiter in conjunction here in Aries really does represent, in this case, those 4th house themes of satisfaction, happiness, safety, security, and home, and how they are forcing a very uncomfortable shift for those themes and in those areas as it pertains to those 11th house matters and 5th house matters. A lot of these things were put into place in long-standing commitments. Saturn represents time and effort and responsibilities we take on or don't take on. And so all of these things that I'm talking about either came from or stemmed from long-time commitment, and even the new opportunities that came from long-term investments as well. So the lunar eclipse is obviously a lot harder than the solar eclipse in the fact that there is less wiggle room. It is not about new opportunities. It's a full moon. It's about reaping the effects of what has come before. So I had many revelations and, to be honest, many letdowns this lunar eclipse season, again, in those areas that we've just talked about. Unlike the solar eclipse chart, the lunar eclipse chart also brought in Mercury, and whatever Mercury is ruling for you, that's going to make that even more important, and especially because Mercury is the lord of the Mars retrograde as well that had taken place right in time for that. I think that actually did bring a little bit of that flavoring of Mars into this equation and situation. Having a sense of understanding when it comes to what you want, what you have, and what you have to work with almost had a sobering effect on me. And I realized I have made the choices to get to this point. For both of these eclipses, the fulcrum, though, has still gone back to where Saturn sits. And I think this is very important for people to remember, because the lessons of Saturn are here to learn and guide and even help us sustain as we move forward. So Saturn's aspect brought a sense of you knew it, but still can't believe it. And publicity, especially to this lunar eclipse, definitely the matters of the lunar eclipse when it was there could have been public or involved public things. I mean, in my case, I have had denials by those who were supposed to help me. I had documents having to do with health impacted. Mercury being a part of this comes to my mind, especially as the Lord of the Sixth. And I've even had to let go of things that were there, such as mentors and counselors. Have since, by the end of this, by December, they were let go. Again, Mercury also being in this way connected with the ninth, specifically in my chart, as that Lord. Right around the time of the lunar eclipse is when a lot of these creative projects actually came to a head, in that they started to really gain some traction and make some progress in ways that I didn't even think that I had the ability to fit into my ever increasingly busy schedule. But again, with this renegotiation with Saturn and Saturnian things, and where you're putting your sun and moon energy, it just did free up the space in time for this lunar eclipse, almost to the day. When it comes to those very same endeavors, as well as to different friendship dynamics and things like that as well, coming up into December here, a lot has shown itself and a lot has come to the surface in such a way that really it's like you knew it all along. It was there all along, and you got to this place, and that's just what it is. In all of those areas, especially those 11th house areas, have just been such a major theme. And when it comes to those 5th house areas, in contrast, the truth about them, which actually was a little bit brighter for me, this eclipse cycle, also came to the surface, came to fruition, and my capabilities therein. So that's a little insight there to help you all interpret what these eclipses mean and the manifestations thereof in your own charts, piece by piece, and to know how to weather it. Again, the lunar eclipse was tougher, but it was a long time coming. You already know things are dead or bad or good, but probably not good because it's a lunar eclipse. But because Saturn is here aspecting with the 10th gaze, and that means the work you put in, the way you set things up, for sure had a direct hand in this outcome. And now it's time to put your work elsewhere, or to finally put your money where your mouth is, or even just cut your losses. So that was just me using my chart as an example. I hope that it was helpful for people. Again, these things are also going to be modified by a lot of other astrological placements, such as what planetary time period that you're running in. That's going to make this eclipse a lot more impactful for you, or impactful in a different way. Same thing if you know which constellations it's atop and everything like that. Those themes are also terribly important, and I saw both of them play out very heavily. But again, that's a video for another time. Right now, this is just about transitory chart analysis, and I hope that this was helpful for everyone to sort of try to start to understand these very big concepts like eclipse cycles in their own charts. Okay, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you in the next one.